You may think laziness costs you nothing. You may even joke about it. I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow has a bill. And every time you delay, every time you choose comfort over progress, that bill gets bigger. It's not paid in dollars, but in lost opportunities, diminished confidence, and a life that could have been more. The hidden tax of laziness is silently draining your potential, and most people don't even know they're paying it. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Laziness doesn't come with a receipt, but it does come with a price. You don't see it leave your wallet, but you feel it when your dreams start shrinking. You feel it when your mornings feel heavy, your motivation runs low, and life starts moving without you. Laziness is the most expensive lifestyle in the world because it silently robs you of everything that makes life rich: your time, your potential, your confidence, your opportunities. Now, most people think being lazy just means not doing much. But in truth, laziness is a silent trade. You trade your future for your comfort. You trade growth for ease. And the worst part is, the cost doesn't show up today. It sneaks up on you in the form of lost chances, weaker habits, and a life that never quite took off. I've seen people blame bad luck, bad timing, bad breaks, when really it was just bad discipline. Laziness doesn't hit you all at once. It taxes you slowly, day after day, like a leak in your roof that drips until the ceiling caves in. You don't notice it when you skip one day of effort, but skip a few years, and your life becomes unrecognizable. This speech isn't just about being busy or working harder. It's about understanding the hidden tax you pay for being lazy. Because once you see how expensive laziness really is, you'll never want to afford it again. So stay with me till the end, because by the time we're done, you'll see that every lazy choice you've ever made has been taking something far more valuable than your time. It's been taking pieces of your destiny. The first tax of laziness is the tax on your time. It's invisible, but it's relentless. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you hand over a piece of your life to something that gives nothing back. Time is the only thing you can never buy, borrow, or beg for once it's gone. Yet, people treat it like loose change. They waste hours scrolling, talking, dreaming, planning, but not doing. They think laziness costs them comfort or productivity, but what it really costs them is life itself. You can't measure the loss of time in minutes or hours. You measure it in lost potential, missed chances, and unfulfilled dreams. Every lazy moment compounds like interest in a bank, except the balance you get back is regret. Laziness is deceptive because it hides its cost behind the illusion of rest. It feels harmless to put something off, to give yourself one more day, to say, "I'll start tomorrow." But tomorrow doesn't bring more time. It just brings less opportunity. You see, every hour of delay isn't just an hour gone. It's an hour that could have changed something. You could have made a call, read a chapter, taken a step, started a routine. Instead, you did nothing. And that nothing becomes everything you didn't achieve. That's how the tax on time works. It doesn't punish you with pain. It punishes you with absence. It quietly removes all the moments that could have built your future and leaves you wondering where your life went. The hardest part about time lost to laziness is that it doesn't feel like a loss while it's happening. When you waste money, you can count it. When you waste time, it vanishes silently. You sit on your couch watching the clock tick, and the world moves on without you. Somewhere, someone else is learning the skill you postponed, taking the risk you avoided, making the call you hesitated on. Life rewards those who move, not those who wait for the perfect feeling. Laziness convinces you that you'll act when you feel ready, but readiness never arrives. Time doesn't wait for readiness. It moves for responsibility. The people who win in life aren't the ones who had more time. They're the ones who used what they had as if it mattered. When you're lazy, you start living on credit time. You borrow from your future to pay for your present comfort. You say, "I'll make up for it later," but later is already overbooked. Every hour you waste adds weight to your future, and one day you wake up with a debt of undone things. Skills you never learned, fitness you never built, opportunities you never chased. The tax of time shows up when you look back and realize you were supposed to be further ahead by now. It's not that you didn't have potential. It's that you didn't invest your time in it. The world doesn't care what you could have done. It only responds to what you did with the hours you had. Laziness trains your mind to devalue time. When you get used to delaying action, you start believing that time is abundant, that there will always be another chance. But there won't. One day, the chances stop showing up. Life doesn't repeat opportunities for people who don't respect them. The person who sees time as sacred gains a sense of urgency, a fire to move, to act, to create. The lazy person loses that fire. They tell themselves they're being patient, when in truth they're being passive. Patience is when you wait with preparation. Laziness is when you wait without progress. The first earns you time, the second burns it. You've probably heard people say, "I just don't have enough time." But that's not true. Everyone gets 24 hours a day. The difference is how they use it. The lazy spend their time avoiding discomfort. The disciplined spend theirs creating direction. One uses hours to numb themselves. The other uses hours to build themselves. Laziness makes you feel like you're conserving energy, but you're really draining your potential. Because energy grows from momentum, not from rest. When you do the thing you've been avoiding, you gain energy. When you avoid it, you lose it. That's why lazy days feel heavy. Not because you did too little, but because you carried too much undone. Think of time like a garden. Every day, you either plant or neglect it. Laziness is when you keep saying, "I'll water it tomorrow," and one day the soil is dry and nothing grows. You can't rush back and revive it. The season has passed. People who value time don't wait for motivation. They build systems. They understand that action is the only way to respect time. They don't let their emotions dictate their effort. The lazy person says, "I'll work when I feel like it." The wise person says, "I'll work and then I'll feel like it." That small difference in timing determines who gets results and who gets regrets. The tax on time also steals your momentum. Momentum is built in motion, not in thought. Once you stop, even for a short while, it takes enormous energy to restart. That's why a lazy week can turn into a lazy month, and a lazy month into a lazy year. You don't notice the decline because it's gradual, but one day you realize your ambitions have slowed down to the pace of your excuses. You start adjusting your dreams to match your habits, not your potential. You tell yourself, "Maybe I'm just not meant for more." But that's not true. You're just paying the tax of inactivity. Every delay is a tiny surrender of control over your time. When you understand how time punishes laziness, you start treating every hour as an opportunity to invest. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop saying, "Someday," because someday is the graveyard of all great intentions. People don't lose their dreams because they're incapable. They lose them because they never started on time. The lazy person spends their life preparing to begin. The disciplined person begins and learns along the way. Laziness is the art of waiting for clarity, while time takes away your options. The more you wait, the smaller your world becomes. Time doesn't just pass, it accumulates results. Every hour spent in discipline builds a return. Every hour lost to laziness builds a gap. That gap becomes the difference between who you are and who you could have been. When you see someone living the life you wanted, it's not luck. It's the result of time used wisely. Every successful person once faced the same temptation to rest, to delay, to do nothing. The difference is they chose motion over comfort. They didn't let the small moments of laziness compound into years of loss. The truth is, laziness doesn't steal your time. It convinces you to give it away willingly. You exchange your hours for nothing and then wonder where the time went. The most dangerous words in the world are, "I still have time," because that phrase is how dreams die. You don't have time, you have now. And the longer you wait to use it, the higher the tax becomes. You don't need to work every second, but you do need to value every second, because time won't negotiate with you. It moves whether you're ready or not. The question is, will you move with it or let laziness collect its silent fee on every day you live below your potential? The second tax of laziness is the tax on your self-respect. This one doesn't show up in your schedule or your bank account. It shows up in your spirit. Every time you promise yourself something and don't follow through, a little piece of belief inside you dies. You start seeing yourself as unreliable, weak, inconsistent. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, subtly. You make a promise to get up early. You hit snooze. You say you'll start that project. You delay it. You tell yourself you'll get serious next week, and next week turns into next year. Every one of those broken promises takes a small withdrawal from your self-trust, and over time, your inner bank account runs dry. The richest man alive becomes poor when he can no longer trust himself. There's no worse feeling than knowing you can't count on your own word. When you say you'll do something and you don't just lose time, you lose credibility with yourself. You stop believing your own goals. You stop trusting your intentions. That's the cruel part about laziness. It disguises itself as rest, but it actually eats away at the foundation of who you are. Because self-respect isn't something others give you. It's something you earn from yourself. You earn it every time you keep a promise, follow through on a plan, and push past the moment when you'd rather not. But when you don't, you begin to live in quiet conflict. You start to dislike the person in the mirror because you know you're capable of more, but you keep choosing less. The tax on self-respect is emotional, not physical. You carry it in your chest when you wake up late again. You feel it when someone talks about discipline, and you remember all the times you quit early. You feel it when you see someone doing what you once said you'd do. It's not envy, it's guilt. Laziness has a way of turning confidence into shame. The longer you let it stay, the more your mind starts building excuses to protect your ego. You start saying things like, I don't care, or I'm just not that type of person, or it's not the right time. These are not truths, they're shields. Shields you build to protect yourself from the pain of knowing you've let yourself down too many times. Every time you avoid effort, you teach your brain that your comfort matters more than your commitments. And once your brain learns that, it stops taking your goals seriously. You become the kind of person who plans big but acts small. You talk about change but never live it. You dream about success but never chase it. You might still have ambition, but you've lost authority over yourself. That's the hidden cost of laziness. It quietly removes your power to believe you can change. And when belief fades, discipline disappears. Without discipline, nothing works. You can have the best idea, the best opportunity, the best talent. But if you don't respect your own word, you'll never follow through. You can't build self-respect with thoughts. You build it with actions. The more you do what you said you'd do, even when it's uncomfortable, the more your inner strength grows. The less you do, the weaker it becomes. Think of self-respect like a muscle. It grows through repetition and pressure. Every act of follow-through is a rep. Every excuse is a skipped workout. People think laziness gives them relief, but what it really gives them is decay. You may not see it today, but one day, you'll look back and realize that your confidence didn't vanish. It was slowly eroded by the moments you chose to take it easy instead of taking action. When you lose self-respect, you start depending on external validation to feel worthy. You start craving approval, attention, or praise because you no longer have it within yourself. You start needing people to tell you that you're doing okay because deep down you know you're not. That's the tax at work. Laziness makes you a beggar of confidence. It takes away your sense of control and replaces it with comparison. You look at others doing well and wonder why it's not happening for you, forgetting that they simply did the work you postponed. When you don't respect your own efforts, you envy those who do. The tragedy is that laziness doesn't even feel like failure at first. It feels like relief. You skip the workout, you feel good. You delay the work, you feel relaxed. You avoid the uncomfortable talk, you feel safe. But later, when the opportunity passes, when your body weakens, when your results don't show, the shame creeps in. And that shame builds resentment, not towards others, but towards yourself. You begin to live in quiet frustration, knowing you could have done more but didn't. That inner tension, that silent war between what you are and what you could be, is the tax of laziness on your self-respect. The lazy mind starts to lower its standards to avoid pain. You start saying, good enough, to things that once mattered deeply. You stop aiming for excellence because you're tired of disappointing yourself. You trade your vision for comfort, your ambition for ease, your hunger for distraction. And the more you settle, the more your identity shifts. You go from being someone who had big plans to someone who just wants to get by. Laziness doesn't just steal your time. It rewires who you believe you are. It convinces you that you were never meant for more, when the truth is you simply stopped trying for long enough to forget what effort felt like. The only cure for this tax is action, but not just any action. Consistent, honest, small promises kept daily. When you start doing what you said you'd do, even in small ways, something powerful happens. Your mind starts to trust you again. You begin to feel proud after a long time. That pride isn't arrogance. It's the quiet strength that comes from integrity. When you can look yourself in the eye and know you're keeping your word, you don't need anyone else to validate you. The respect you have for yourself becomes your motivation. It becomes your fuel to keep moving forward. You no longer work for approval. You work because you know you're worth the effort. Self-respect is not a gift, it's a reward. It's the result of a thousand small victories over laziness. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, you build it. Every time you choose discipline over delay, you build it. Every time you get up instead of making an excuse, you build it. That's how character is formed. Laziness, on the other hand, dissolves character one decision at a time. It makes you soft on yourself until you can no longer recognize the person who once dreamed boldly. When you begin to lose self-respect, your potential shrinks to fit your behavior. You stop setting goals that challenge you because deep down you already know you won't keep them. You stop trusting your plans because your actions never match your intentions. You start living below your own expectations, not because you can't rise, but because you no longer believe you deserve to. That's the cruel irony of laziness. It makes you both the cause and the victim of your disappointment. It convinces you to stop trying and then punishes you for stopping. If you ever want to rebuild your confidence, you don't need motivation, you need evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Every completed task, every disciplined choice, every fulfilled promise becomes that evidence. Slowly, your belief starts returning. The tax you've been paying begins to shrink. You begin to feel different, stronger, clearer, more certain. Not because someone gave you a pep talk, but because you earned yourself respect back one choice at a time. That's what laziness tries to take from you. The right to feel proud of who you are when no one's watching. The third tax of laziness is the tax on opportunity. Life offers chances to those who move, not those who wait. Opportunities are like doors that appear for a moment and then vanish if you don't walk through them. The lazy person stands outside, telling themselves they'll knock later, that there will be another door, another day, another chance. But opportunity doesn't wait for permission. It rewards urgency, not intention. You can't schedule success on your calendar. You have to meet it in motion. The longer you delay, the more invisible those doors become, until one day you stop noticing them altogether. That's how laziness taxes your life, not by taking your comfort, but by quietly removing your chances. Most people think missed opportunities are a result of bad timing or bad luck, but more often they're the result of bad habits. Laziness teaches you to hesitate. You overthink, overanalyze, and underact. You say you're waiting for the right time. But the truth is, you're just avoiding the risk of discomfort. Opportunity rarely looks convenient. It usually shows up disguised as work, challenge, or change. But because the lazy mind seeks ease, it never recognizes those moments for what they are, golden chances to grow. And by the time you realize it, someone else has already said yes. They weren't smarter, luckier, or more qualified. They were simply willing to act when you were waiting to feel ready. Every time you delay action, you transfer opportunity to someone else. The world doesn't hold your place in line. If you don't show up, it hands your chance to someone who did. You may think the world is unfair, but in reality, it's perfectly fair to effort. It rewards the mover, the doer, the one who dares to act when others are still thinking. Laziness convinces you that waiting is wise, but all it really does is keep you in the same place while life moves forward without you. Opportunities don't disappear because they're rare. They disappear because you stopped moving toward them. The tax on opportunity isn't just about the big chances you miss. It's about the chain reaction those missed moments create. One missed call can mean one missed connection. One delayed idea can mean one business that never started. One ignored discipline can mean one dream that never developed. The small moments you ignore, because they seem insignificant, are often the stepping stones to something greater. But laziness blinds you to that truth. It whispers, it's just one day, it's just one task, until those small moments add up to a lifetime of what-ifs. You see, the lazy person doesn't just lose opportunities. They lose momentum, and momentum is the magnet for opportunity. When you're active learning, moving, creating, life tends to hand you more to work with. Doors open because you're already in motion. People notice your effort. You attract collaboration, attention, and possibility. But when you slow down, when you start to settle into comfort, that current of opportunity weakens. You stop meeting new people. You stop trying new things. You stop stretching your limits. Eventually, life stops sending you invitations. That's the hidden penalty of laziness. It isolates you from the flow of chance. Think about how many ideas never became realities because of one lazy choice. The book never written, the skill never practiced, the call never made, the opportunity never pursued. Every one of those represents a door that could have led to something extraordinary. But laziness makes you underestimate what small actions can lead to. You tell yourself that one little step won't make a difference. But success is built on the compound interest of effort. Every action you take increases your odds of being in the right place at the right time. Every moment you delay lowers those odds. Laziness doesn't remove your ability, it removes your availability. You could be capable, talented, full of potential. But if you're not present when opportunity knocks, it doesn't matter. The real tragedy is that most people never realize how close they were. They quit one decision too soon. They pause one day too long. They wait for motivation that never comes. Opportunity doesn't reward those who wait for clarity. It rewards those who move despite uncertainty. Because every step forward reveals the next one. Laziness demands to see the whole staircase before taking the first step. And while you're busy trying to figure out the entire path, someone else is already halfway up. Laziness also taxes your vision. When you stop taking action, your mind stops imagining. You lose the ability to see what's possible because you no longer test your limits. Action and vision are connected. The more you move, the more you see. The more you wait, the more blind you become to what could be. That's why lazy people often settle for less. They can't see beyond their current effort because they're no longer creating movement to expand their perspective. The world looks small to those who stand still. And then comes the deeper cost, the emotional toll. When you miss enough opportunities, you start convincing yourself that you were never meant for them. You start saying things like, maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe I'm not that kind of person. Maybe I'm not lucky. But luck is often just the name lazy people give to the results of consistent effort. The more you move, the more lucky breaks you seem to get. The less you move, the more unlucky you become. The tax on opportunity eventually becomes a belief system, a quiet acceptance that life is happening to you instead of through you. It's not that opportunity disappears forever. It's that the longer you stay idle, the less prepared you become to recognize it when it returns. Even if a new door opens, laziness has already weakened your confidence, dulled your instincts, and trained your mind to hesitate. So you miss it again. You see the pattern. Laziness doesn't just take your chances once. It keeps collecting them with interest. It turns potential into paralysis. The greatest opportunities in life rarely arrive with a label. They look like work. They look like long nights, early mornings, and moments of doubt. Laziness filters them out because it only chases what feels easy or entertaining. But everything great was once uncomfortable. Every success story began with someone doing what others avoided. The lazy person waits for motivation to appear. The disciplined person creates momentum and finds motivation along the way. Opportunity doesn't appear to those who dream. It appears to those who do. You don't lose opportunity in one day. You lose it in the small daily choices to stay comfortable. Every not today becomes one less tomorrow. You think you're delaying action, but you're actually deciding your future in that very moment. Every day you hesitate, the world rearranges itself. Someone else gets the client, the promotion, the recognition, the life you could have had. And they didn't steal it. You gave it away through inaction. Laziness taxes your potential by letting someone else cash it in. If you look at the most fulfilled people in the world, they're not necessarily the most talented. They're the most responsive. They act when others think. They move when others plan. They understand that life rewards movement, not perfection. They fail fast, learn fast, and keep going. That's why opportunities seem to follow them. But for the lazy, every failure feels final. Every effort feels exhausting. Every challenge feels unfair. So they retreat. And with every retreat, another door closes quietly behind them. The cruelest part of this tax is that you don't feel it when it's being collected. You only feel it later, when you see what could have been. When you realize the moments you ignored were the turning points you prayed for. Laziness doesn't charge you up front. It charges you in regret. You pay with what you might have become. The price of missed opportunity isn't just external, it's internal. It's the heavy feeling of knowing you stood still while life was moving. Opportunity is not a gift, it's a mirror. It reflects your readiness to act. The more you move, the more it shows up. The more you hesitate, the less it appears. That's why laziness is so dangerous. It tricks you into thinking nothing's happening when in fact everything is. The world is moving, opportunities are shifting, and doors are closing while you wait for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment is always now. Every small action you take opens a path to something greater. Every small delay closes one. Life doesn't punish the lazy with failure. It punishes them with emptiness, with the quiet realization that they traded a lifetime of possibilities for a few moments of comfort.